John Stemberger, and I'm President and General Counsel of the Florida Family Policy Council. Planned Parenthood spends approximately $1.5 million of taxpayers' money. That's every day. Annually, this adds up to about $500 million a year. There's no reason why they should continue to receive public funding. Today I'm announcing a sustained grassroots and media campaign on behalf of hundreds of thousands of Florida voters, pro-life voters, that voted for Rick Scott as a pro-life governor. The campaign is to appeal to the governor and, if necessary, to demand that he immediately cut Planned Parenthood of all state public funding sources. Healthcare contracts are canceled all the time by the governor for unqualified providers that engage in problems. Because this is Planned Parenthood, they're getting special treatment.
Let's get your reaction to this first bill, the one that prohibits state funding for Planned Parenthood.
Well, I think it makes sense. People need to understand that abortion is not health care. More and more women, especially young women, are realizing that's a baby. It's not a duck, it's not a Buick, it's a baby. And a mother has never given birth to anything other than a baby. So it is a human being that's growing and living. And the chief end of government should be protect human life. We'll continue to fight for women's health care. We'll continue to fight for the fact that adoption is a better option than taking the life of an unborn child.
John, let me start with you. Your group is holding events to counsel religious leaders on how the Supreme Court's ruling affects them. What kind of topics are you covering?
Well, primarily we're going to talk to them about how they can change their bylaws and their articles of incorporation to protect themselves against sexual orientation, gender identity lawsuits, or even an equal protection challenge. Pastors are probably at the least risk. I think Christian schools and religious schools are the most risk.
We pray that this will be a productive time of learning and understanding what's happening in our rapidly changing world. You know, we started this tour in Pensacola. We'll finish it off tomorrow in Miami. We'll speak to somewhere around 700 to 800 pastors representing different churches.
There's a connection between politics, government, policy, culture, and the gospel. And I want you to see that. Life is an integrated whole.
We're talking about these very high, lofty ideas of what God's design is, but the problem is that you'll have little children that grow up in the inner city. They will never ever see a wedding, ever. They will never even have a picture of marriage. It's not in their music, not in their culture. And the church is the only answer. The church is God's plan A, and there is no plan B. Our plan as a society to restore families is the church, and there's no plan B. If it's not the church, it's not going to happen. And so if you're here as a pastor, you have to understand, you have to feel the moral weight of not just your own church, but the community and the civilization we're living in. Yeah, we're going to allow a boy to physically undress in front of a girl, and that somehow is civil right? And Mr. President, you said you're doing this because of the dignity of the transgender students. Well, what about the dignity and the privacy and the security and safety of the 99.9% of other students who now have to put up with this nonsense? This is an outrage. I am livid. As a father of 2 girls, as a citizen, as a taxpayer, this is totally unacceptable. And I'm encouraging everyone all over this country to lobby your governor, lobby your state legislature, and to push back on this. We're here united around one particular thing, and that is to request Governor Scott to veto HB 7013.
John, first of all, I wanted to get your response to Monday's U.S. Supreme Court decision.
Yeah, so I think in every case like this, there's winners and there's losers. And sadly, I think that the Supreme Court's decision yesterday, the winners are abortionists and abortion clinics, and the losers are women and specifically their health, safety, and welfare.
Let me bring John Stemberger in.
Well, I think the first thing that needs to be said here is I think that millions of Americans find it inappropriate, if not outright offensive, to somehow link, as Representative Richardson has done, these shootings to the need for LGBT new rights.
The court is wrong today, but it's been wrong before. It's been wrong in Dred Scott, where it attempted to declare that black persons were not persons under the United States Constitution. The court was wrong in Roe versus Wade when it said that unborn children were not persons. So the court's been wrong before, and we believe the court is wrong again today.
Well, welcome to this evening's debate. I have met with each of the candidates on my radio program, and I'm honored to serve as the moderator instead of the inquisitor tonight. Our goal is to give questions and answers to help you determine which candidate is best equipped to serve Florida's 2nd Congressional District.
There are more babies aborted than are born. Many millions of Americans do not want their hard-earned tax dollars going to support such a procedure.
There are 58,568,000 babies who have been aborted since 1973. Each of those children were born in the image of God. Each of them is created in the image of God.
Here we have a copy of your guide, put out for both Democrats and Republicans to kind of check out.
We're actually not encouraging Common Core. We would be very opposed to that.
You're opposed to it?
We would be opposed to it, yeah.